So my name is Kelly Moore. I'm the Director of Communications for Student Affairs at Idaho State. And thank you so much for joining us, and thank you especially for patience with our slow start today. I also want to thank all of the members of Student Affairs who are here tonight to just help us share what's happening currently in week 3 of the semester. That's an amazing thought. I also want to say welcome to our English and Spanish transcriptionists. So that's Leah and Isela, and we really appreciate your time tonight. So we are already in the 3rd week of the semester, as amazing as that seems. So this is an excellent time just to check in with your students, see how they're doing, reach out for the resources that are available to help them succeed. We also want to share with you some exciting events and occurrences that are happening now. The folks who are here from Student Affairs, they'll introduce themselves as we go along. They'll take just about 5 minutes apiece to tell you what's happening. So we'll leave plenty of time for discussion. Throughout tonight's town hall, however, you're more than welcome to put a question into the chat field, and then we will have a Q&A at the end. So I'm going to get us started here. Diana, if you'll go ahead to the next slide. This literally is hot off the press. So we got this news this afternoon that the funds for COVID relief grants for students were just distributed today. So these come from the CARES Act. We will send out this PowerPoint, by the way, tomorrow, along with the transcripts of tonight's town hall and the recordings. So you'll have the clickable links when we send that out. But it's basically relief grant funding for students enrolled in higher ed. It's often referred to as HERF-3, or the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. This prioritizes grant payments to students with the highest demonstrated needs. So if students completed a FAFSA and they demonstrate a certain level of need, then they qualify for a certain amount of that grant. This can be used on anything, and this is what I love about this. This can be used on anything related to the cost of attendance or educational experiences, including things like daycare and food and housing, those kinds of things that usually don't come under the umbrella of like a scholarship. So these grants are really, really important. If you have questions about the HERF-3 CARES Act funding, we want you to contact financial aid. And we've got their number here. If students want to reach out to that email, they need to be sure to include their Bengal ID in their email. But these funds did just go out today, so students will be receiving communications about it. And as parents, you might just want to check in with them and follow up. Diana, would you like to go to the next slide? I'm actually also representing Sari Byerly tonight. She was unable to be with us tonight to talk about first-year success strategies. So go ahead and move to the next slide, Diana. So the first year is so important for students. It is the toughest year for most of them in terms of transitions. There's a whole lot that's different about college versus high school. And that's everything from how far apart your classes may be located, to the fact that you're not spending the day with the same people, to the fact that assignments can be very different. So there are some things that we just want to talk about right at the start here. If you've got a first-year student, you're going to want to check in with them. One of the most important tips is just have them develop some sort of time management plan. So I've taught several years of student success classes, and I always tell my students, get on your calendar. I don't care if it's print or digital, but get on your calendar. And if you've got an assignment, put your assignment on that calendar, just like it's as important as, oh, I don't know, a family reunion, date night, getting a root canal. There's a fun one. But you want to put all of those things on the calendar, give them their own home, and then back up from there to build in time to actually complete that assignment, because their year can get wildly busy. And this is a way to just manage all the stuff. We also encourage students to try not to work too many hours, right? So if they're established students, maybe second, third, fourth years, try not to work more than 20 or 25 hours a week. And if you're a first year student, we really recommend you keep it as close to 10 to 15 as possible. So we know school cost, we know that a lot of our students have to work while going to school. And if that's their reality, if they can't keep those hours down to these numbers, they might want to think about, doing their semesters differently. Maybe not take quite so many hours, perhaps take some summer courses. We have lots of ways to help them. But what we find is if they're working more than these numbers here, they're probably struggling to succeed. And then it is so important to connect. So in a moment, we're going to have Corey talking about connecting with advisors, but I'm just going to say it here again. Connect with the advisor. Students will often, because they're wanting to be self-directed, and that's a great thing, they'll often just try to do the whole scheduling thing themselves. But there is so much to know about how classes actually line up in a sequence and how to efficiently make it to a degree. So connect with advisors, connect with faculty. These people really are not as scary as they might seem at first. Most of our faculty are in this job because they really want to work with students, because they love helping them succeed. And many times I'll see faculty literally just pulling at their hair saying, I tell students, come to me, I'll help. So tell your student, go to their faculty, they'll help. So connect early. And then also connect with life here. So it's too easy to kind of get in a grind. I'm going to do my classes, I'm going to do my homework. And again, we know that it's important that they do their homework, that they do the right things to succeed academically, but they also need to do the right things to have a life. Laughter is good. Dancing is good. Having a meal that's not rushed or eaten over a textbook is good. So we have UROAR this year. We want to encourage you and your students to just click on UROAR. It is a whole host of opportunities to connect. And it's not just for extroverts. There are also plenty of opportunities for introverts. So those are the things we want to talk about in terms of, not just first year success, it's everybody's success. But if you've got a first year student, these things are especially important for them. Diana, would you like to continue? Thank you so much. And I'd like to introduce you to Rick Pongratz. Rick is the director of our counseling and testing services. Rick?
Thank you. It's nice to be here with you all. I'm here to talk a little bit about transitions and student experiences. And as students are returning to campus, they are feeling a whole lot right now. Their brains are being flooded with, as they integrate all the new opportunities and events and classes and assignments and people. And hopefully, and I'm going to echo some of the things that Kelly just mentioned, hopefully they're making efforts to establish a community. So I'm a psychologist. I work in our counseling and testing center, and we offer free services to students. I'll talk more about that in a second. But one of the things that we see that contributes to student success in their adjustment to school is that they're making friendships and building a community on campus and establishing connections here. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. The second thing is the COVID stress that they all feel right now. So not only are first year students coming in and getting exposed to all the new stuff of being on campus, a lot of our second year students are kind of going through that same experience, because last year was very different than this year is, as far as the amount of on-campus activities and opportunities for them to develop a sense of community and the connections that they're making on campus. And so then, and there's also the stress about COVID, and I think we have a panelist who's going to talk more about that in a little bit, where there'll be some opportunity for questions there. You will probably notice that they are feeling, sometimes when you talk to your family member who's a student, they'll feel super happy, excited, or optimistic, or they might feel overwhelmed or scared or insecure. And they may be feeling all of those at different times throughout the same day. And that's important for us to pay attention to that, and that is normal. They're not crazy, they're not bipolar because they're having all these different emotions. They're experiencing a lot of excitement and they're experiencing a lot of anxiety. And biologically, our bodies it doesn't do a great job of distinguishing between excitement and anxiety. I have an increased heart rate, increased sweat response, more rapid breathing, all of those symptoms that my body experiences, it experiences whether I'm anxious or whether I'm excited. And so what we can do as family members who support students, we can help them think about how to change the way they're thinking about all the opportunities on campus, instead of being anxious about them, and try to be curious and excited about those things, because they can have some degree of control in how they engage in their experience at the university. And so if we can shift to the next slide, just to talk a little bit more about what we can do to support students. Remind them that it's normal to feel a little flooded with all of the new information that they're getting, and encourage them to keep going and to use all the resources that are available. Whatever feelings they're having are valid, but what we need to do is support them in directing those energies in positive directions that help them build community and develop the skills and the framework to be able to succeed and persist when things get tough. And they might get tough in the next few weeks as first exams come around and midterms come around. But right now is a time to be laying down the foundation that Kelly talked about with good learning habits so that they're going to be successful later on in the semester. I want to encourage them to focus on how they are, how they can be excited. I mentioned that already. But then also how they can be patient with themselves, and that it's okay to struggle. And it's because we struggle and we overcome those struggles, that's how we build resilience. None of us are born with resilience as a trait. It is a learned skill. And so the struggles that they'll encounter are good, and overcoming those, that's how they grow. So we want to support them as they do that, be patient with themselves, and challenge yourself to be patient with them as well. Want to, again, encourage them to meet new people, friends, roommates, people on campus, join a club, get to know people who have common interests. And again, echoing Kelly, really make sure they spend time meeting with their professors, introduce themselves, share where they're from, what their major is, why they're in the class, what's making them curious about the subject matter. All of those things will help them develop a relationship with a faculty member so that the faculty member knows their name and a little bit about them and can be following up with them and supporting them as they adjust to the university. And so Diana, if we could go, thank you. And lastly, again, use the resources that ISU has. We have a lot of them you're going to hear about here in a minute. So I won't give away all the ones where I see the people on camera who are going to be talking about some things. But I work in the counseling center, and we have free and confidential counseling services available to students. So we support students with a whole host of concerns that they may have related to their mental health or just the stress of being in a new place. They're welcome to call and talk to us and get set up with an appointment, and we'll be happy to help them out. Visit our website to learn more about the different opportunities that they have to engage in our services. But if they'd like to just set something up, they can just call any one of our numbers. And they can call, if they don't know for sure what campus to call, just call Pocatello and we'll hook them up. If your family member is a student and they are out of the state of Idaho, we can still offer support services to them. And so we have a contract with a company that provides that service and can provide some comprehensive care. So please do reach out to our Pocatello number and we can get you in touch with those folks. Really excited that you and your family members are a part of the Bengal family, and I'll turn it back over to Kelly.
And I just want to do one more plug here because, Rick talked about the importance of connections, and Sari's content was about the importance of connections. And I think, Corey's going to talk about this as well. It's just so critical that your students realize most of the people on this campus are ready to connect with your students. And that tends to be the thing that, when they hit some struggle, if they start to feel too stressed, if they're just feeling like they're overwhelmed and they're not sure that they can continue, many times it's going to be one of those relationships with a peer in a classroom, or a conversation with a faculty member or one of these staff that can make the difference to help your students get over that hump. So Corey Zink is our Executive Director of Academic Advising. Corey?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here with us on Zoom tonight. I just wanted to take a few moments and speak with you all about the types of things we do in advising and the ways we're focusing on supporting our students. One of the things I want to mention off the top is that we are in a place where we have academic advisors that are assigned to each and every first and second year student based on their major. I mention that first because that allows us now to do several different things that we have been kind of working towards over the past couple of years. One is very proactive communication. So our advisors and our Office of Advising will reach out to our students on a consistent basis and make sure they understand the important kind of dates that are coming along on the academic calendar, make sure they understand and prepare for registration. I'll talk about that in just a minute, and just reach out to them and make sure that they know they have a go-to Bengal that they can meet with and talk with. I also wanted to take a moment and mention, I feel like this incoming group and ones down the line here, this new student orientation that took place this summer is a really great opportunity for us to work on a different model in which all of our new students met with their academic advisor in person and signed up for their fall classes and had a great experience as far as just becoming comfortable and familiar with that person. And I wanted to mention that has been really critical. And it feels like this fall, even students are much more ready and able to reach out and connect and communicate with that person because they already have built that relationship. And that's going to be something we keep doing forward. But keep in mind, whether your students are first year, second year, beyond, our office is reaching out and all of our advisors are reaching out proactively to communicate with them. The other thing I want to mention is ISU Navigate. This is a new student success platform that we're implementing and rolling out this fall. Right now, it's currently in the phase one kind of pilot phase. We're doing it in a few small areas, small-ish areas, College of Business, first and second year students, College Technology, with our deciding students that are still settling in on their major. So these are the groups, as well as a career center, as well as our student support unit. But this is a platform that allows us to really track and communicate and connect students. I know that word's been said quite a bit already tonight, connection, but Navigate is a really user-friendly tool that enables that to happen in a real way. As students that, as they come on Navigate, will have the opportunity to download an app on their phone, to chat with their advisor, to set appointments with their advisor, and to get all sorts of information about, do they have financial holds, whatever that is, it's going to come to that resource as a phone app and be able to kind of help direct the students and get them the connection points they need to be successful. So I wanted to mention that that's rolling out as well. I want to talk for a minute. This has been mentioned as well, I guess as well, but as far as a team approach, student success is not anything that one office does. I feel like in advising, we do our best, right? We reach out, we are proactive or supportive or connective, but there's so many offices that are involved with that, and a host of them are here tonight, plus others. You can see one of the bullets there is about tutoring. That's another office that's really set aside to help your students be successful. But I also want to mention that I think families are a part of that as well. And I think you can check in with your students, see how they're doing, see how their classes are going, how their schedule. A lot of them are balancing work and school, as Kelly referred to. Make sure they have a good balance there. Talk to them about their courses and how they're going. It is very important that students feel like they can communicate to their faculty. Those folks are anxious to reach back and support. It is really important that our students attend classes. I mean, college material comes at them fast and furious, and sometimes just missing a couple classes can really set them behind. We do realize there's situations where they do have to miss, and that's okay. But I think just consistent class attendance is one that we see as well. But just check in with them, have conversations with them. And if at any point they need to reach out to advising, they can do that to get them the information or support they need. I also have the website there. If at any point they do need tutoring, it's something that the student can reach out to them. They can also use their advisor to set up that tutoring appointment. And then again, sometimes faculty and in these academic departments, they have student support networks kind of set up, study groups, other things going on that not always do all other resources across the university are they're aware of. So again, I'll mention that faculty are an important resource.
So Corey, before you go on, a quick question. How often should a student go see an advisor?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our goal would be that every student, especially in their first and second year, see their advisor every single semester at the minimum. And I'll be honest, there's some students that see their advisor multiple times this semester just to check in, share a thought, maybe get, hey, if I do drop out of this class, which one should, there's all sorts of advising conversations that take place. And they really use that advisor kind of as that go-to person for academic advice. And so I would really recommend at least once a semester that they schedule an appointment and meet with their advisor. But as I said, that advisor is going to be reaching out as well and trying to book those appointments with the student. Final slide here, just talk about registration. Registration time is an important time for our students. Right now, of course, they're kind of settling into the semester, getting their feet under them. As Rick mentioned, working through some of that anxiety of newness, right? And getting their arms and their minds wrapped around what's coming at them this term. But as we move towards midterms and after into early November, it's registration time for the spring. A big initiative for us is to get students registered when it's time to register. So as that opens up on the 8th, keep in mind that's for seniors and kind of some other populations like athletes and honors. But over the course of that next week, it opens up for everybody. We're even planning a registration event for that next week, the 15th or the 19th, where all students can participate, register, meet with their advisor in the student union building, and kind of creating a signature advising event where they all register together and get ready for the next spring. But it is important that students get in their spring courses and for each consecutive semester as that opens to get the times they need that work with their schedules, the professors they need, whatever that case may be. So really encourage your students to do that. And just some contact information there. At any point, if your student needs to reach out to us and have support, they have their advisor maybe by department that they know, but you can always use the Office of Advising. And we can direct folks and get them where they need to be, but that's our number and that's our email. So again, thank you. Appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight, and have a good rest of the meeting here.
Thank you, Corey. And now I'd like to introduce to you Val Davids, who has been doing an enormous amount of work getting us ready for Bengal Family Weekend. Val?
Well, thank you, Kelly. I'm really excited to be able to talk to you guys tonight. The Bengal Family Weekend, it's such a great, and you're going to hear this word all the time, great connection to see what your students, their experience here on campus. I wanted to share, though, with you, I oversee the Student Activities Board. And I know that we do, we talked tonight about advising and counseling, but activities do play a big part in your students' experience. And one of our Student Activities Board, we have an Instagram, and we got a message just recently on our Instagram, and I wanted to share this. It's from a student. And it says, I don't know if this is a normal message you guys through here, but as a transfer student, one of the biggest differences coming to ISU has been the activities and events. They really helped me overcome anxiety from the hardships this past year and give me the boost of serotonin I need to enjoy my studies here at ISU. Thank you. And we were just so excited to have that. And so with the Bengal Family Weekend, we have got some awesome activities for you to share. Of course, it's centered around the football game and the tailgate, which I'll talk about just here in a second. But starting off on October 8th, we're going to have a Bengal family dinner. And this year we're doing something a little different. We thought, because it has to be served, let's just go out and make this a big deal. And let me just tell you the menu. So we're going to have bacon and creamed cheese stuffed chicken breasts, Parmesan garlic mashed potatoes, roasted vegetables, salad, rolls, cheesecake for dessert. I mean, that's just the menu. And then you get a welcome by the president of the university. And and then on top of that, we're going to watch a short documentary that's called Through Youth's Eyes, which was put together by ISU students in the business College of Business and their professor. And they're going to talk about how they did this documentary. And then at the end of it, we're going to have our Vice President of Student Affairs, Lynn Rennington. She is going to give some trivia and some free swag to parents and their students there. So that's just kicking off, starting that night. And then the next day, we have, first we have the football game, but that's in the afternoon. But we have, maybe football's not your deal. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but we have volleyball available. So you could go to a volleyball game. You could go to a theater production. You could come to the student union and play, shoot some pool or do some bowling. Saturday morning, we're going to have some yoga. And we also have a tour of the greenhouse. You can plant your own succulent, take that. On Friday night, our students' activity board is going to be doing bingo. And this is not your bingo. This is not grandma's bingo. You will be highly amazed at the energy of this bingo. It is our last bingo, we had 526 students at our bingo. It was high energy. It was awesome. So let me just check my one thing to make sure I got all of those. But at the football game, we're going to have a tailgate, and we're going to be serving a nacho bar at this tailgate. And so these are just some of the activities. And then if that wasn't enough, we decided we're going to do a scavenger hunt this year. And the scavenger hunt isn't just like, oh, I'm going to go find 5 pencils here. And, no, this is using your cell phone, and you're going to complete missions. It may be getting your picture taken on top of the pillars up at ISU. It could be just maybe going to Chick-fil-A and having your picture taken there with your student. But we're going to have an awesome prize for the student and their parents or family who completes the missions on the scavenger hunt. We also have free admission to the Idaho Museum of Natural History. So we have a ton of things available, and all you have to do is go to the website, and it's right there on the screen, online registration. And now, unfortunately, some of our bigger events have sold out. People just hurried up and got their tie-dyes, or they're the climbing wall, but there are plenty of activities out there. So please go on there and register. And if you do have any questions, let me know. I'd love to answer them.
Well, Val, you are a great salesperson for the
Yes.
event, but you kind of had me at the bacon and cream cheese.
I know.
All right, folks. So we'll send this out with the slides tomorrow. But you can also just search Bengal Family Weekend on our website, or you can email us at our Bengal Family Network email. We will help you get registered. Sounds like fun. And I do want to talk just briefly about that network. So all of you are already opted into the network, which means that you are getting our communications, but we'd like you to just share that word with others. Some of the advantages for being part of this network is that you don't have to wander around with your questions, wondering where to send them or who can help you. We will help you do that. We have our email set up. You can email us at any time. I actually read that email every day. So you've got a face to go with a little email address. We also keep you informed. So we send out a monthly newsletter and we send out Roaring Through the Month. Anything that's been happening that's new. So for example, Roaring Through the Month will go out next week and it'll talk about that CARES funding. So we'll keep you apprised of all of these things. And then here we are at that word again, connected. So I want you to know, we did not all put our heads together before we did this event tonight and say, I think we should all say the word connected. And yet everybody here talked about it. And that's because it is so critical for your students and also for you. So Bengal Family Weekend is a way to get connected. Staying in touch with us on our email through the network is a way. We are also looking for parents who are interested in being part of planning for the Bengal family experience. So if you are interested in being part of an advisory board, we would love to hear from you. I do want to turn us now to Rex Force. Let's see, Rex.
Thanks, Kelly.
There you go. And Rex is our Senior Vice Provost and Vice President for Health Sciences and the Director of ISU Family Medicine. And I asked Rex to join us tonight just to kind of give us an update on all things COVID. Thank you, Rex.
Sure. Thank you. So I know folks have a lot of questions about COVID and the response of the university as it relates to COVID. We have a very extensive university-wide response to COVID and disease mitigation in order to keep campus as safe and healthy as we can, while also maintaining in-person instruction, all these different campus events that you're hearing about, and continuing to move forward through what have been very challenging times for the university and obviously for our students, faculty, and staff. We have a website set up on the ISU webpage. In fact, the opening webpage has a link, and virtually all of our forward-facing web pages have a link to this Roaring Back website. The Roaring Back website has a variety of different information on it related to things like vaccination availability, the cases that are occurring on campus, different types of disease mitigation strategies, including our required face mask use when students, faculty, and staff and the public are within our buildings. And it has a lot of other frequently asked questions related to COVID. Where do students go if they need care? Where can they be tested and screened? How do they report a case? We have a system where we utilize a self-report form where students, faculty, and staff can report exposures as well as known positives, for then putting them in contact with a health team that includes contact tracers and allows us to then intervene to isolate and quarantine possible cases of COVID on campus and provide people with just information how to manage those exposures. Students living in the university housing have lots of resources available to them should they become ill. A very, very attentive group of individuals from RAs all the way up to the leadership of our university housing department is there to help take care of these individuals and look after them if they become ill. The university has seen increased numbers of cases as the students have come back. This is not unexpected. It's been observed across the country. And as people come together from different locations all over the state of Idaho and even the wider region and nation, and even internationally to some extent, we would expect to see these cases. And the university has been tracking that disease activity and again, intervening to limit the spread of COVID on campus. Kelly, I think from our perspective, from the health team's perspective, we're happy to answer any questions from any parents, students, or anybody else on the call tonight. There are obviously a lot of different things that that people might be curious about as it relates to COVID, and we're happy to stand by and answer any questions that may come up.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rex. And we will be sending out the recording and the PowerPoint to the entire network tomorrow. What is the most obvious contact method for folks who might hear the recording if they have questions about COVID?
So we have a COVID hotline. And that phone number is on the Roaring Back page. We also have an email address. It's covid@health.isu.edu. We could put that in the chat, covid@health.isu.edu. That's a secure email, meaning confidential information can be shared through that email, and it is secure, private, and confidential. That's probably the best way for us to be contacted.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Diana, can you proceed to the next screen? So we want to allow time for Q&A tonight. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat if you like. And while we're waiting to see if there are questions, I was reading in the Chronicle of Higher Education just about a month ago, and the Chronicle sort of tracks trends in education, talks about what's happening at universities. And what they were saying was that across the nation, students were reporting that despite everything, and after a full year of pandemic distancing, what they were most wanting was a real sort of campus life experience. They wanted to connect with other students, and they wanted to connect with classes and teachers and places and events. And so everything that we're doing is about enabling that to happen. Do you have any questions at this time?
So Kelly, we did get one question related to COVID.
Yes.
And I think it's of interest perhaps to the entire group. The question, is there a point where in-person instruction activities would need to be scaled back on campus if COVID numbers keep going up? The answer to that is we hope for the best and plan for the worst. And that's the mantra that we've been following. Obviously, many institutions during the past 18 months have had to scale back in-person instruction because of COVID cases in their community or on their campus, and ISU was no exception. As Kelly just said, we're doing everything we can to try to maintain the in-campus experience, and perhaps even more importantly, in-person instruction. So we have in place at present, and in fact are utilizing this right now, Zoom options, utilizing this technology that we're using tonight to provide access for students. So for example, if a student or a faculty member had to be out of the classroom for a period of time due to COVID, we would have access utilizing this technology to continue coursework. We certainly don't want students to fall behind. We don't want students who are ill to come to campus, though, and potentially cause a spread and infection. So that's part of our contact tracing process, is that students would stay at home, meaning their local home, if they're from out of the Pocatello area, but not be coming to campus, but be able to keep up. So we have that technology available to us. We've utilized it extensively over the past few years, and it is possible that your student may have even been in a class already where Zoom technology was utilized to provide a safe, secure environment for continuing instruction. So the answer to your question is yes, it's possible, but we're doing everything we can to maintain in-person instruction. And we obviously monitor many different metrics each week as it relates to COVID disease activity to make sure that we're making those decisions on those in the right way with the right data. So on those Roaring Back pages, there is a section called operational levels, and it talks about how we set the operational level for campus. And there is a plan in place where we could potentially move to more aggressive disease mitigation activities, and that may result in changes to how the university operates. So that the answer to the question is we're hoping for the best and planning for the worst and doing everything we can to maintain in-person instruction in a safe and effective way.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions this evening? Then I would like to thank all of
Kelly, you went on mute.
There we go. Thank you so much. We just want to thank you this evening for your time. So parents and partners of students, we know what you do to help your students succeed. And we're ready to partner with you in every possible way that we can. I also want to reach out and say thank you to our student affairs staff who joined us this evening. Thank you everybody for your patience with our initial technology glitch. And have a good evening.